Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking on your hump day? As always, we here at the Tom Gully Show hope you are receiving the full, total, and complete amount of hump that you so desperately crave and you so rightfully deserve. And I don't even know what that means. Hey, today I am going to tell you about the greatest game show heist of all time. But before we get to that, we've got some chatters and we've got our usual, business to do where we say, go to the TomGullyShow.com. This is all down in the crawl, by the way, the whole show, just streaming before your eyes. Go to the TomGullyShow.com. There you'll find 270 plus podcasts that, one of them's got to be of interest to you, doesn't it? Anyway. There you can go to our merchandise shop and you can get things like these attractive mugs, which are a focal point of praise and pleasure, sure to add a charm and warmth to any home. And you can also go to cafepress.com/The Tom Gully Show to get those items. If you'd like to, you can do the big things that cost nothing. That is like, that is share, that is subscribe. Those things cost you nothing, not 1 red cent. And the likes really help us out. So, of course, YouTube is the prescribed way to watch the Tom Gully Show. And if you could help us out there, that would be wunderbar. You can also do the big thing, the big thing. We are not monetized. If you can go to paypal.me/Tom Gully Show, you will forever earn my undying love and gratitude. And then you can also go to Patreon, which is where I am putting all the things I'm too scared to put out there for just anybody, because that's crazy. That's crazy talk. Who would do such a thing? I don't know. You'd have to be crazy. Have one of my, I guess this shirt's 25 years old. Cartoon Network shirt. I don't know that everybody, I think these may have been Cartoon Network employee only shirts. I don't know. I have no way of knowing. I did not license them. They were there when I got there. If they were licensed when I was there, then I'd know. Like the famous CD Cartoon Medley. Look that one up. Yeah. See if you can still find a copy of that thing around there. Oh, my goodness gracious me. There he is, George Neal. He says, Tom, how are you, my friend? And what perfect timing. George, the real deal, Neal, the legendary heavy metal bassist from the band Halloween, and a great guy and a gentleman that, like myself, enjoys Tubbies when in the Detroit, Michigan area. Man, you really got to go to Sonic Asylum Radio. They have been wonderful friends of this program for years and years now. Go to sonicasylumradio.com. They've got a lineup of incredible shows, including anything that George is involved with. We hope George is doing well and feeling well. And I can tell you that I love all the shows on Sonic Asylum Radio. They've turned me into a person that appreciates heavy metal music. And the show Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria is absolutely spectacular. It is one of the best shows on the internet. And so if you get a chance, you can always hear this show on their Facebook page. But their website has incredible chat rooms, a lot of great stuff. They support a lot of great musicians and people. Steve Bello, oh, what a great guy, and an incredible guitarist. Just really great people. And so please support Sonic Asylum Radio and say hello to our good friend George Neal in the chat room. He is a great dude, I'm telling you. I am an aficionado of great dudes, and he's one of them. He says, I'm so happy to see you. Well, the feeling's mutual, George. Feeling's mutual. Wow. That's good stuff. I am going to try and vamp here for about another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to get to our topic at hand. I always like to give people time to get in the room, people like George Neal and people like Sunday Jenna. She says, good evening, Tom Gully. She's a close personal friend, I've heard, of the Frog, of Joe the producer. So that's always wonderful. Randy Ramos, the chef, is in the house. He is a certified, bona fide chef because the people that are in our chat room and listen to this program are classy. They're classy, classy people. It's proof. I'm going to drink my Red Bull with my pinky up. See that? That is classy. It's very classy. There we go. Sunday Jenna with a green heart. Those are the best kind. Cindy saying, finally catching a live show during my catch-up. Yay! Well, Cindy, thank you for being here. Always good to see you. Reverend Wild Bill says, greetings. Actually, Reverend Wild Bill says, greetings. Then we have Diane O'Brien saying, good evening, all. Diane O'Brien, of course, one of our listeners from Great Britain, across the pond. She's from Shrewsbury, Shropshire, which I mention every time just because I like saying it. Doopa-doopa-doo, you know her better as Karen Garvey, who's one of the, just a great supporter of the show and says hello, Tom, in chat. And Karen Garvey, always great to see you. Always wunderbar to see you. Okay, let me get my thing going here. There we go. Let me get my thing going. This is a thing that you're not going to believe. I can't believe that this thing ever happened, ever. It's what I like to call the great game show Heist. And one of the best things about this is that it was totally legal and it was not against any rules. And it was one time where a guy who, he was kind of a ne'er-do-well, as I'll tell you. But he came out on top for just a brief moment. The gentleman's name is Michael Larson. And Michael Larson had somewhat of a checkered past, okay? He was a Mr. Softy ice cream truck driver, an air conditioning mechanic. People knew this guy was creative. They knew he was intelligent, but he kind of liked shady dealings over steady employment. In middle school, he often smuggled candy bars into class and tried to secretly sell them to make a profit. Another scheme he was involved multiple checking accounts. He would open them with the bank that was offering a promotional $500 to every new customer. So he'd open these accounts and withdraw the money super fast, close the account, and then repeated that process under a new name. He also started fake businesses under the name of one of his family members and hired himself to work for the company. And then he laid himself off to earn unemployment. I don't know why I'm laughing because that's the terrible things to do. But that's what he did. Now, Larson, in the early days, that's super early, but early, started recording a show called Press Your Luck, okay? And he had all these tapes of it on his VCR shortly after its premiere on CBS in 1983. And as he watched this show, he noticed that they had this thing called the big board. And it would randomly land on different squares that would offer the contestants a chance to answer a question on that square. And sometimes that square would give what was called a whammy, and you would lose all of your money. Zero. You'd go to zero. And he noticed that this randomizer only had 5 patterns. And so he started memorizing these patterns, increasingly confident that he could predict where and when the randomizer would land. And he began playing along with the big board while the show was live to test his hypothesis and also then go back to his VCR, and he would tape and pause this randomizing at various intervals. So he discovered that the 4th and 8th squares, okay, from number 1 being the top left-hand corner and then clockwise around the board, always contained cash and never had a whammy. Okay, so he was guaranteed to make money on the 4th and 8th squares. Okay, and he learned that the 4th square always contained the top dollar values, and that in the second round, you got another spin if you landed on those spots. So it was like 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000, one of those in square 4, 500, 750, or 1,000 in square 8. Now, this proved crucial to his theory, as he could retain control of the board in the second round indefinitely if he kept following the patterns. Okay? So I'm going to give you a little look at some of his theorizing. Here's the big board, okay, and it's bereft of the actual graphics. But he noticed that this was a pattern that he could follow. Okay, so if the board started at 1 and went to 9, he knew it was going to 4. All right, and then so he could hit right there. If it started at 2, it would go to 12, back to 1, then to 9, then to 4. And during the second round, that meant he never gave up control of the board, ever. This is the actual payouts and things. So you see that square 1 had a whammy, square 3 had a whammy, square 5, he knew which ones had whammies and which ones did not. So he was never going to go to 0, ever, not once. Just would not happen. And with that in mind, he was guaranteed to keep making money constantly. And there was nothing that could be done about it. So what Mr. Michael Larson did, why don't I just put his face back up because those aren't that interesting. What Mr. Michael Larson did was he used most of his savings to fly to Los Angeles and audition for Press Your Luck at CBS Television City, where the show was taped. The supervisor of contestants, a guy by the name of Bobby Edwards, was suspicious of Larson from the get-go, even during his interview, because they interview these contestants. And he didn't really want him on the show. But executive producer Bill Carruthers looked at this guy and he says he's a small-town plebeian desperately in need of a chance to win some money and a good sob story, for the show. So he overruled the contestant supervisor, and he would later regret this move like you can't believe. Larson was added as a contestant in the 4th episode of the taping session, scheduled to air on Friday, June 8th, 1984. Now, the taping sessions for these shows, they do 4 or 5 shows in one day. That's true of almost every game show that you've ever seen, and even some, midday talk shows like Ricky Lake or Oprah or some of those things. While he was waiting in the green room, Mr. Larson met Ed Long, who was a Baptist minister from California, and he was booked for the 3rd episode of the season. And they struck up a conversation. So this Baptist minister was going to be on the show before Larson's. And Long recalled that Larson asked him how many times he'd seen the show. And when Long replied he'd only seen it once, Larson responded by looking at him as though he were from another planet. Obviously, because Larson had seen countless episodes of the program over and over and over and over again. Larson told Long, "I really hope we don't have to play each other," before leaving the green room. But they would, in fact, face off, as Long won his match and a total of $11,516 in cash and prizes. And so the two men competed against dental assistant Jane Littris in the next episode of the season. So Michael showed up to the taping, this is the truth, wearing a 65-cent suit he had bought at a thrift store. The host of the show a guy named, oh, come on, Peter. Let me, now I got to find out his name. This is embarrassing. Peter, created by, oh, come on. Peter Tamarkin. Sorry, Peter Tamarkin. I'm going to show you a picture of this guy. He was introduced by this guy, and if this guy doesn't look like a game show host, I don't know who does. All right, so he was introduced by Peter Tamarkin, and as well as the other guests, he introduced everybody. And the minister recapped his winnings from the previous episode. He introduced Michael, who talked about driving an ice cream truck in the summer and hoped to win enough money to be able to retire from having to drive this ice cream truck. Peter jokingly asked Michael if he had the truck with him, as they had some orders for ice cream. And then Peter introduced Janie, the dental assistant, and talked about working for an eccentric Polish dentist. You guys have seen this. It's typical game show banter. I like banter. By and large. Now, in the first round, as customary, the game began with 2 rounds in which contestants answered questions to earn spins for the big board. A correct buzz-in answer earned 3 spins, with multiple choice answers earning 1 spin. Larson's memorization of the patterns could not help him here, and he struggled early on. On the second question, Peter Tamarkin asked, "You probably got President Franklin D. Roosevelt in your pocket or purse right now, because his likeness is on the head side." And Larson buzzed in and answered a $50 bill, which has Ulysses S. Grant, after which Tamarkin finished the question of what American coin, with the answer being a dime, the other choice being a nickel. Larson did not buzz in again, answering the last 2 multiple choice questions and finishing with 3 spins behind Long's 4 and Littrus's 10 free spins. With the fewest spins, Larson went first. On his first spin, he hit a whammy. Look out. On his next his next 2 spins, he hit that number 4 square that I told you about twice for $1,250 and finished the round with $2,500. Long and Littrus finished the round without a whammy and won $4,080 and $4,608 respectively, putting Larson in last place. Larson in the second round buzzed in correctly for 2 of the 4 questions, and he earned a total of 7 spins in the second round, ahead of Littrus's 3 and Long's 2. Since he was in third place, Larson got to play first at the big board, and he went into his pattern, aiming for squares 4 and 8. He quickly bumped up his total to over $10,000. Now, early on, his pattern play was irregular, as he stopped 4 times on squares that did not follow his pattern. A trip to Kauai worth $1,636 in square 7 and $700 in 1 spin on square 17. He missed what he was aiming for. So he won a sailboat and a bunch of money, okay? After the sailboat, his pattern play became more accurate as he hit his target squares every time he spun. Tamarkin was increasingly astounded that Larson was still spinning despite not having seen a whammy for so long. Larson continued to press on, passing more and more milestone markers without losing any of his 4 remaining spins. The episode was taped into 2 parts because Larson kept on going. And as he passed the $40,000, $50,000, and $60,000 marks, Tamarkin was begging him to stop more than once, fearing he would hit a whammy and lose all that money. Okay, Larson intended to keep spinning until he had reached $100,000, and he finally decided to stop once he had reached $102,000. Well, 102 and 851. He had made, by this time, 40 spins on the board without a whammy. 37 of those were for cash. He hit square number 4 a total of 20 times, including a run of 6 in a row, and square number 8 a total of 15 times, including 2 runs of 3 in a row. After he announced he was passing his 4 remaining spins, Larson raised his arms in triumph and received a standing ovation from the audience. Now, by rule, Larson's remaining spins went to the dental assistant, Janie Littris, as she had the second highest money order. However, since she was the leader after the first round, she had to wait and play until Long, completed his turn. On the first of his 2 spins, a bewildered Long hit a whammy and lost the money he earned in the first round, leading Tumarkin to wonder aloud if Larson knew that the whammy was coming. Long hit $5,000 plus 1 spin on his next spin and did it again on the spin after that, but he hit a second whammy on his final spin. Now, he had passed his turn, so he kept that $100,000 plus. Littris then took her turn, starting with the first of the 4 spins Larson had passed, that she had to take according to the rules. Now, on that spin, she hit a whammy and lost all of her money for the first round. However, since she'd whammied, the remaining past spins were moved into the earned column and added to the 3 spins she had earned in the second round, giving her a total of 6 spins. She picked up $9,385 in cash and prizes in the 5 total spins, but because she managed to hit spaces with extra spins, she only used 3. She then passed those spins to Larson, who was visibly upset and said, "I didn't want them," as he received the 3 spins. However, Larson picked up where he'd left off, following his patterns, and hit his marks with the first 2 spins. He hit square 17 on his last spin, which was the same space where Larson hit a whammy on his first spin, but he stopped the board before the whammy could shuffle into the square and won a trip to the Bahamas valued at $2,636, causing Tumarkin to joke, "With that money, you could buy the Bahamas, Michael." This brought Larson's total to $110,237, and he had earned 2 spins to work with. Larson then passed them to Janie Littris, the dental assistant, who failed to earn any additional spins with them. Despite winning extra money on those 2 spins, Littris, unsurprisingly, could not come anywhere close to Larson's grand total, thus ending the game. His final total included $5,287 in prizes and $104,950 in cash. At the end of the episode, Tumarkin asked Larson why he decided not to pass his remaining spins before he did, considering the lead he had gained over the 2 other contestants, and revealing how he'd won the game, Larson responded with 2 things. 1, it felt right. And second, I still had 7 spins, and if I passed them, somebody could have done what I did. Now, these episodes were 30 minutes in length, and prior to Larson's appearance, the series had never needed to have games in 2 different episodes, as they would always complete the match within the allotted time. However, Larson's streak of hitting his marks every time stretched the length of the episode well past the usual 30 minutes, and the producers were unsure of what to do. While the entire episode was recorded in 1 shot, the production staff decided it would need to be split in 2 for airing. Let's get Michael back up there. After all, he deserves it. Once Larson had racked up $36,851, that's $34,200 in cash and $2,600 in prizes. On 15 spins, the producers cut to a freeze frame of the contestant area, and Tumarkin tossed to a commercial. Once back from the commercial, Tumarkin informed the viewers that because of the extraordinary circumstances, the match could not be completed on that episode and would instead be finished in the next scheduled airing, which was the following Monday. He then signed off with the words, "To be continued." When Pressure Luck returned after the weekend break, the episode started with the same sort of place where they had ended, in freeze frame. Tumarkin then brought the viewers up to speed on what happened in the previous episode by first introducing Larson's opponents and then introducing Larson and explaining what he'd done so far before the game resumed. immediately there were accusations of cheating. While Larson was running up the score, the show's producers contacted Michael Brockman, at that time the head of CBS daytime programming, and in a 1994 TV Guide interview commemorating the Larson sweep, he recalled something was very wrong. Here was this guy from nowhere, and he was hitting the bonus box every single time. It was bedlam, I can tell you, and we couldn't stop this guy. He kept going around the board and hitting that box. The producers and Brockman met to review the videotape. They noticed that Larson would immediately celebrate after many of his spins instead of waiting the fraction of a second it would take for the contestant to see and respond to what they had just done, effectively showing he knew he was going to get something good. It was also noticed that Larson had an unusual reaction to his early prize of the Kauai trip, which was out of his pattern. He initially looked puzzled and upset, and then he recovered and celebrated. At first, CBS refused to pay Larson, considering him a cheater. However, Brockman and the producers could not find a clause in the game's rules which would disqualify him, largely because the board had been constructed with these patterns from the beginning of the series. If they penalized him, they would have a whole bunch of people coming after him and saying, was this rigged? And if it was rigged, why didn't I benefit? And things of that nature. So the network complied. Because he had surpassed the CBS winnings cap at the time of $25,000, Larson was not allowed to return for the next show. The 5 original light patterns on the big board were replaced with 5 new ones for about a month, and those were replaced with a different set of 5 new patterns for about another month. A further reprogramming of the board with 32 patterns was completed in August of 1984, effectively ensuring that no one could duplicate Larson's trick, and all subsequent versions of the show would employ this method. Now, CBS suppressed the episodes of this program for 19 years as both the network and Carruthers, the producer, considered the incident to be one of their biggest embarrassments. When USA bought the rights to rerun Press Your Luck, CBS and Carruthers insisted that they're not going to show those episodes. But in March of 2003, the Game Show Network, GSN, was allowed to air the episodes as part of a 2-hour documentary called Big Bucks, The Press Your Luck Scandal, hosted and narrated by Tomarken. The documentary was produced by and aired on GSN in association with Lionsgate, and it broke all previous viewership records for the network. The Big Bucks documentary included additional footage directly from the original master tapes that had been edited out of the episodes for their initial broadcast, and the original telecast was dedicated in memory of Carruthers, who had died 2 weeks before the airing. As part of the commemoration, Larson's opponents from 1984 were invited back to be contestants on Whammy, the all-new Press Your Luck. Larson had died by this time, and his brother James was invited to take his place. Tomarken also returned to host the question round. Despite the fact that the board was now fully random, the host of the show at that time, Todd Newton, called it Larson-proof, and there was no way the same trick could have been performed. Long and Littress, who had both remarried, and Littress had remarried, and she took the surname Littress Dakin, still lost. James hit the big bank space on the first spin of the round. Long proceeded to joke with Newton that he had seen this before. At one point, Littress Dakin advanced to first place before hitting a double whammy shortly afterward, effectively giving James the win. Long, the Baptist minister, who was in last place, decided to spin and racked up some winnings, but not enough to catch up to James, who had won a digital grand piano worth $6,950, while Newton closed the game by announcing, "The legacy continues." Larson's performance on Press Your Luck was featured in a July 2010 broadcast of This American Life, and on January 14th, 2018, the Game Show Network aired a second documentary on Larson called Cover Story, The Press Your Luck Scandal, which included footage of the Big Bucks documentary. The debut airing earned over 500,000 viewers. The Larson episodes themselves aired after the documentary. Both of Larson's episodes were edited together into one giant video and uploaded onto the Buzz YouTube channel in January of 2019. There was a film plan starring Bill Murray, who was to play Larson, but it was never produced. There was a graphic novel produced about it called Larson, el hombre con más suerte del mundo. Didn't think I could speak Spanish, did you? Larson, the luckiest man in the world, for those of you who speak English. Magician Brian Bushwood adapted Larson's endeavors for a 2022 episode of his podcast, The World's Greatest Con. After Press Your Luck, Larson became an assistant manager at a local Walmart store, several of them actually, in Lebanon, Dayton, Xenia, and Bellbrook, Ohio. He also ran a promotions and marketing company, Group Dynamics Downline, out of his Lebanon, Ohio home. In November of 1984, Larson learned about a local radio show promotion promising a $30,000 prize for matching a $1 bill's serial number with a random number read out on the air. Over several days, he withdrew his remaining winnings from that show in $1 bills, examined each dollar, and, discovering he did not have the winning number, redeposited half of his money. He left about $50,000 in his house, and it was stolen in a burglary while he was attending a Christmas party. Larson told TV Guide in 1994 that after the burglary, he called on the producers of Press Your Luck to stage a tournament of champions for his chance to score big again. The producers declined. The show would end in September of 1986. In 1994, the release of the film Quiz Show renewed discussion about game show scandals, and Larson was interviewed on ABC's Good Morning America. By this time, he had been diagnosed with throat cancer, and his voice was noticeably weakened from it. Larson ultimately never saw the return of his winnings and failed at several get-rich-quick schemes. In 1995, he engaged in an internet fraud scheme run by a company called Pleasure Time Incorporated, which raised $1.8 million from 14,000 investors for a non-existent American Indian lottery. After the Securities and Exchange Commission filed charges against the operation, Larson fled Ohio and moved to Apopka, Florida, where he died of cancer before he could be found and prosecuted. Larson's daytime network game show winnings record stood until 2006, when Vicki Ann Choberk Sadowski won $147,000 in cash and prizes on season 35 premiere of The Price is Right. However, it was not enough to surpass Larson's inflation-adjusted record. $110,237 was equivalent to $214,000 in 2006. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the tainted, twisted, macabre, and bittersweet story of the triumphant and ingenious Michael Larson and the greatest game show heist of all time on Press Your Luck. Let's go to our chat room and see what is going on here as I open up the phone lines. I'll let you know when it's done their thing, you know what I'm saying? When it's done their thing. Let's see here. Where was I? Lyndon is here, says, good morning all. Always good to see you, Lyndon. Terry Nee, the hilarious Terry Nee, says, gold is my favorite heavy metal. Well, you'll find it on Sonic Asylum Radio at sonicasylumradio.com, and proud broadcasters of the Tom Gully Show. Diana O'Brien says, the show is classic. Thank you, Diana. Trying to think of something British to say, but the only thing I can think of is Motivica, which is inappropriate. Randy says, I remember this. SG Fanboy says, oh, hey, guys. Oh, hey, SG Fanboy. Reverend Wild Bill says, guess you could say he was a savant. HG Frick said, was Rain Man based on this guy? Nah, I don't think so. I think Rain Man was an up-and-up dude. This guy was he was a conniver. Julian Caesar says, this is why Big TV tried to ban VCRs. This is one of the many reasons. The Reverend Wild Bill says, Rain Man was based on Kim Peek. I don't know who that is. Jerry Lahane says he has shared this to Twitter. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. George Neal says, freezing up. I have to reload. George, I suggest a bran muffin. Diane O'Brien says, it's all in his eyes. Is it? Let me see here. You know, Diana, you're right. He does have, he's got that look. You know, he's got that look. What movie? Anybody? Gives you that look? You know, he's got that look. Tuna says, hey, gang. People saying hi to each other. Hello. Hi. Waving back. Evening. Hi. That looks like Phil Hartman playing a parody of a game show host. Doesn't it, though? Peter Tamarkin, just your standard off the rack from Central Casting game show host. Terry Nee says, how many Polish dentists does it take to pull a tooth? I want to know, yet I don't want to know. Kahuna says, Tom, on a plane headed to DFW, look out, here I come. Kahuna, why are you coming here? How long will you be here? Those are the questions I need to have answered. Kahuna is saying hi to somebody. People just saying hi to everybody. We do love a cheerful chat room. HC Frick says, adjusted for inflation, $102,000 in 1984 would be worth over $6 million today. $6 million. I'll take your word for it. Best moment in game show history, says the DDLD. I agree. It's my favorite moment. Jokerfish says, what kind of taxes do contestants pay for cash and prizes? The same as they pay for any other income. And I think in many cases, those taxes are deducted by the payer. Not certain about that, but I'm pretty sure about it. Jokerfish says, I want the consolation prize, a year's supply of turtle wax in the home version of the game. And Abyssal Rug Doctor, plus a year's supply of Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. Those were your standard prizes. Good call there, Joker. Jerry Lahane says, turtle wax was huge mind snap back to the 70s. Yeah, it really was. Tomarkin sounds like the name of a Cardassian general from Deep Space Nine. It does. Let's see here. I ghost wrote for Star Trek created DS9 1987. Well, lots of stuff beside that. Well, Jerry. Darcassians instead of Cardassians. They're supposed to be the Nazis. Well, that was pretty obvious. And Deep Space Nine was Casablanca. How about that? Jerry, am I onto something there? Wowzers, says Diana O'Brien. I don't know if anything ever happened this over in the UK. Jerry Lane said Patty Duke did the game show nasty, too. There was a lot of subterfuge in the game show industry. Sandy Eastman is here, our good friend, the Queen of Las Vegas. She says, hi, Tom. Good to see you. Paused Up Patriot says, hey, Tom, sorry I'm late. We go over this every time. We go over it every time. Pause. Nobody's ever late to this show, ever. Not even me. Julian Caesar says, I wonder if Larson saw imaginary patterns in many different things, but just happened to be correct and actually made it work for him. Wondering how he decided to study this particular thing. I don't know, man. I think it's like, if there's like tile in a bathroom that you're in all the time and you start to notice. I don't know. Lyndon says, not approving his illegal moves. My congrats to him for beating the system. Well, he beat that system legally. A lot of his other things, not so much. Jokerfish says, some fellow was the Donkey Kong champion. It was suspicious. He stewed anyone who questioned him. Turns out evidence came out that he used an illegal joystick. Hey, and I think we all know how painful that can be. Aku Mugen says, I just watch O&A talk about this guy, complete with video. It's amazing. It's totally amazing, isn't it? I didn't realize they'd done anything on this guy. But I'm honored and at the same time ashamed that both of us have done this. Julian Caesar says, 1 to grab the tooth, 8 to pull the patient. That's terrible. Doopa-doopa-doo. Karen Garvey says, you know he's got that look. It's Fletch. Karen Garvey. Yeah. This gook. And he gives you that look. I said, you taking this thing to South America? He gave me that look. You know he's got that look. Anyway, Kahuna says, coming in on American, if you pick me up at 8:50, that would be awesome. I can't tonight. Kahuna, if you give me a little notice. How long are you here? What are you doing here? He's laughing. Kahuna, tomorrow at local time, 11 o'clock for an hour and 1 o'clock for an hour. If you tune into the big fancy news station, the big one, the powerful signal one, which started in October of 1926, you will hear me on local radio. Well, local. It's 50,000 watts. It ain't that local. Let's see here. Jokerfish says, Jerry, are you a ghost? Jerry Lahane says, Star Wars Quark's Barstool. Okay. Looney Tunes Critic says, I love this story, Tom. Thank you for covering it. Stacy Allen says, hey, Gully, sorry I'm late. Stacy Allen, dear lady, it's never late on the Tom Gully Show, and the fact that you're here for any length of time at all warms my heart and imbues the room with a sophistication and increased intelligence quotient that simply can't be surpassed. Doopa-doopa-doo is laughing at Stacy. Jerry Lahane says, from the great bar Star Wars, couldn't resist. Okay. Lyndon says, Tom, off topic. Ever think about the cult song She Sells Sanctuary? Great driving cartoon. Well, thank you for asking, Lyndon. I think that is a great driving cartoon. Today, of course, I was pre-showing it up with U2 live at Red Rocks under a blood red sky. And then I morphed into some Robert Earl King, whenever kindness fails. And then I went into Tommy Alverson, Texas Woman. It was a very good pre-show today. It was a very good pre-show, which is in contrast to my on the regular radio performance today, where I couldn't even speak properly. I don't know what happened. It's like when I was playing soccer. There'd be some days you'd hit the ball perfectly, and what happened? I did it perfect. Yeah, you just something. Terry Nee is saying hi to Julian or laughing at him either way. Chris Abels said this guy figured out how to get no whammies. He sure did. Chris Abels, the Playables. I've already said it once, but Replayables tonight on the Shuli Network. I don't know whether that's 8 Eastern or 8:30 Eastern. I'm sure Chris Abels will tell me and I can say the right thing and get the heck out of here by top of the hour if I need to. Let's see here. Oh, phone lines are open at 972-994-6822. Stacy Allen, your profile pics look like you're about to say, is Stacy Allen going to have to choke a... I can't say that. Randy says, but I kind of agree with it. Randy says, remember, tomorrow is Pi Day. Yes, it is. It is Pi Day. 314. Terry Nee says, Tom, my lady talked to Stacy is rather sad. Oh, I think I said dear lady. I didn't say my lady. Julian, I would never say my anything to Stacy Allen. Julian Caesar says, like a Telecaster. No whammy. Hey, guitar joke. That's awesome. Looney Tunes Critic said, help Tom out, you guys. Hit the like button. Yes, please do that. And that's actually a good stopping point for me to say, go to TomGullyShow.com. There you'll find 270 podcasts, one of which is likely, perhaps, to beguile and amaze you. And that's also where you can go to our merchandise store. And you will get things like these mugs. There's also hats, shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, shower curtain, clock, hats, I said, of course, glasses, shot glasses, pint glasses, left nostril nose inhaler with your state motto on it. We got everything on that thing. Let's see here. Some inconsistency in golf play. Same inconsistency in golf play. I hear you. It's the exact same thing. You hit it dead solid, perfect, and slice. I don't know what it was today. All I know is it's not happening tomorrow. I'm going to be Morgan Freeman on that tomorrow. You're fine, brother. Do your thing. Tell me what time. Don't make me go all Ray DeVito. I need to know that because if I don't, they'll be. Stacey Allen says, "Oh my God, the Looney Tunes critic. I hope not. I was kind of sad that day." 8 p.m. Eastern replayables, which means we will be on the air for another 18 minutes. Reverend Wild Bill says, "Hey Chris." Eastern, yes, Eastern. Stacey Allen, it's the head tilt. Hope you're having a better day today. Oh, you weren't sad that day, Stacey. Don't be sad. Kahuna says, "Tom, you're a heck of a man to offer, but it's really only a layover. Headed to Vegas, Venmo me a hundy. I'll bet for you." Nah, it's okay. I only bet at things that I have control over. When I played very high level amateur indoor soccer league action, there was a lot of betting going on those games, and I was famous for betting big money in finals on myself and my team. And my teammates were like, "Hey, this is the best big game goalkeeper there is because he's putting money down on it." It's like, ain't scoring tonight. And I would tell, because people in the stand, the fans, would also bet on it. And I would go up to people I like and I go, "You put the house on us tonight." And I was never once wrong. Not once. I was exceptionally good when the games mattered and when the other team made me mad. And it was known throughout these leagues, don't make him mad. Let him sleep. Let him sleep. Because if we were playing like an average team or a not very good team, yeah, you might get some goals in that you wouldn't if I actually cared. If I knew we were going to win, I don't really want to get kicked in the face. As you can tell, I got kicked in the face a lot. 8 p.m. tonight Eastern, you can be a part of the replayables on the Shuli Network and take in all its glory. Who knows? You might see somebody hurl. I'm not joking. Saying hello. Hey, Tom, please don't ever stop because of us. We love your show, brother. Hey, Chris, there's no set time for this to stop. So if you guys are coming on, that does me a favor because then I have a reason to stop. It's like a speed break. It's you're doing me a favor, brother. Plus, I want to watch. I'm a fan. Anyway, Pete Rose. Yeah, I was very Pete Rose-ish about that. I never bet on the other teams. I don't have any control over that. Tom, you would have loved me on defense. Goon. Well, when I coached, I had my set 11 players, and I, as a coach, was kind of weird. I played a very old formation called a WM. It employed 3 fullbacks, 2 defensive midfielders, 2 offensive midfielders, and 3 forwards. And it was great because other teams never saw this. They didn't know how to cope with it. So those 2 defensive midfielders I had were amazing. However, if a team started playing rough with us, or if perhaps one of their midfielders was playing too well, I would just go, "Goon squad." These 2 guys, they knew who they were, and I would say one of 2 things. I would either say condition red or condition yellow. And that meant you can either, you can go up to a yellow card, okay? Rough them up, but don't get kicked out. Or I don't care if you get kicked out. That dude needs a message. So if we ever play them again, he knows what's up. Reverend Wild Bill says, "Thanks, Tom. I feel the love." Well, you should, Reverend Wild Bill. Everybody loves you here. Chris Abels is laughing. Doopa-doopa-doo. Karen Garvey says, "The Reverend Wild Bill is a great addition to the Replayables gang." Oh, God, he's a great addition to everything. You add Wild Bill to anything, it gets just a little more wild. Terry Nee says, "Shawnee's birthday on Replayables?" Oh, boy. You know what? Somebody should get him for his birthday? A new set of eyebrows. Sorry. Lyndon says it's only trash talking if you can't back it up. Man, I gotta have my buddy, the like sergeant detective, head detective in the Indianapolis Police Force that I played college soccer with, come on this show sometime. If you want to know about trash talking, When I played at college, I trash talked 90 solid minutes, the whole game, and before the game, if I could. Reverend Bill says, I heard there's a pre-show for the replayables tonight. You can stop earlier, Tom. Hey, you're not going to get me with that old trick. Jokerfish says, haha, coach made me. You protect your team. Yeah, man. It's like, hey. And when I played in high school, if a guy really cheap-shotted one of the players on our team, we had a policy. And that was all 10 other guys are going to pay him back one at a time. Pretty soon, the other teams learned you can play hard, you can play rough. You start that cheap shot stuff, it's going to be a problem. Julian Caesar says, Tom trash talks in his radio voice. I don't trash talk in my radio voice. Yeah. 7 minutes after the start of the game. Let's go to the news center. It looks like you're going to get a severe injury. No, I'd say things like, Jokerfish says, I had many yellow cards, couple red. No big deal. It is no big deal. I would just say to the guy guarding me, if he was smaller than me, or if he was kind of chunky, or just even stocky, I'd go, you? That's what they got for me, is you? Man. And if the coach, if I was near their coach, he was near me, I said, this is what you got? You better rethink that, man. You better start. And I'd go, here's the number on the front, because this is the only time you're going to see it. All you're going to see is the back of me from the rest of the game. Right, brother? Let's see here. Lynn said, ever play the dozens game? You need a thick skin and quick comebacks. I love playing the dozens. Some people call it cutting heads. It's fun. Akumugan says, tune in at 10 when I'll be live on location with your... Oh, hey. Everybody out of the pool. That's way out of bounds. 994-6822. Well, it's 972-994-6822. See, that's what I've been doing all day. And I don't know what it is. I'm usually Ron Burgundy. I don't know what it was today. It happens once in a while. It does. I just didn't want it to happen today or this week. Not in front of the guys. Did you ever have that happen? You're hanging out with your friends in the front yard, working on a car, doing something, and your dad comes out and says, hey, you left your socks on the floor in the bedroom. What's wrong with you? And you're like, Dad, not in front of the guys. Not in front of the guys. Let's see here. Whoops. Tom, ever someone taller than you in soccer? A couple of times, sure. Yeah, occasionally. Not very often, though. I'd say 9 times out of 10, no. Akumugan says, that's too far. I thought it was AM safe. I may be a little gun shy, Aku. You're fine. Reverend Wild Bill says, Tom, it happened. I know what you mean. You left some letters out. Terry Nee says it was great. We could talk smack back then. It was so great. It was so great. Yeah. I'd have guys, the game would be getting toward the end, and we'd be up, and the guy would take a shot, and I'd save it, and he'd go, man, you were so lucky. And I'd go, yeah, I'd rather be lucky like me than super talented like you and losing. I had all sorts of things. On more than one occasion, and this was in indoor soccer, if my team was up by enough, and a particular forward had cheap shot at me or done something I didn't like, or if he was just mouthing off and I didn't care for it, I would save the shot, and as he was running back, I would roll the ball to him and go, hey, take another one. And then I would come out of my goal real fast and cut him down before he could. It was a thing, just to be a jerk. And I was a jerk. But I had guys that would start, like, that I had known from playing for so long in the same area, that knew me from outdoor, that when it got to indoor, and they'd be, oh, it's you, blah, 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 then start mouthing off. And their teammates would come over and go, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. He's not the guy. That makes him mad. He gets really good when he's mad. I don't know what it took. It was weird. When I got mad, I could play so much better. It's a sad thing to say. If I had a big game, I'm sorry for talking about all this, but if I had a big game, I would get to the indoor place like 2 hours before it and psych myself up for 2 solid hours. I would just walk around and you know, they're not going to score. It's not going to happen. And just keep running it through my head. There's nothing they can do to score. There's nothing you haven't seen. Whoa, boy, it was glorious. I used to love to play. I really did. It was, yesterday when I was young, I thought of, anyway, just kidding. When you got mad, you became more centered. It was a Bruce Lee thing. It was a circle with no circumference. It was the 7 diseases. It was, yeah, glory days. Yep, never coming back. They're fun to relive in your head. They're awful to talk to other people about, and I apologize. Jokerfish says, high school indoor soccer was in the gym. Those balls came rocketing off the wall. The bleachers were dangerous, very dangerous. I didn't have to play that very much. You became water. Water has no shape. Water can crash. Water can flow. Pour water into a jug. It takes the shape of a jug. How many years did you play? Well, I started playing when I was 12 years old, and I quit playing competitively in the first divisions when I was 52 years old. So I guess 40 years. Julian Caesar says, now Tom just goes outside and tips over the noisy ice cream truck. Yeah. Now I just go outside and look at the field and go, that's it. That's all that happens. I coach. And sometimes I get in the goal while I'm coaching my goalkeepers. And I trash talk a little there too. And then the next day I come to practice and I can barely move. That's awesome, Tom. Thank you. Tim Jenkinson, I think he's from the UK. You should make a show in which you pretend you are possessed by the spirit of Bruce Lee. Well, there are 2 essays that Bruce Lee wrote, and I subscribe to them heavily. I do not practice the physical aspects of the Jeet Kune Do, which is the martial art that he created, but the mental aspects I think are amazing. And one of the essays is called A Circle with No Circumference, and the other one is called It's Only a Name. And I highly recommend that you read those. It's very mind-expanding stuff. He trash talks the kids, and the next day he gets to trash talk the parent. Yeah, I don't have much time for the parents. I don't really have much time for the parents. Parents are just too invested. You know. Why is that kid playing instead of my kid? My kid's... Because that kid does what I tell him to, and your kid doesn't. Why doesn't he? I don't know. Must be how he was raised. You should go talk to that person. Leave me alone. That's probably not good. That's probably bad. That's probably me, right? Julian Caesar. Because I bet on that kid. That's hilarious. Reverend Wild Bill says, little Johnny deserves a star. Joker says, Tom, we had a lot of soccer fights. Did your guys brawl? Not in high school, but in men's league, there were some brawls, you know. And I was usually a peacemaker in those. I would get in the middle of people. I'd be way bigger than them because I didn't want to fight. I wanted to play soccer. You know, and I would say that sometimes. It's like, hey, guys, you want to fight or play soccer? Because if you want to fight, we'll fight after the game. I'll fight. We'll meet in the parking lot and fight. Right now we're playing soccer. And if you haven't noticed, scoreboard. Tim Jenkinson says they do say pushy parents are the main reason people leave coaching. Yeah, it's not like it used to be. I talked to Hall of Fame basketball coach Gene Cady, and I said, "What's the difference now and when you began coaching?" And he said, "It's the parents. They used to work with you. They don't work with you anymore." Jokerfish says our bus got pulled over by the cops. They were going to arrest the whole team. Well, we did have one fight. I wasn't our JV team. Two kids got in a fight. One from our team, one from their team. It was a away game. And a guy came out of the stands, the father of their kid that was fighting, and said, "I'm a Hamilton County Sheriff, and I'm going to take this kid in for assault." And from our side, a guy came in with, "I'm an FBI agent. You really want to do that?" So nothing happened. Oh, let's see. Let's get through these real quickly here because I've only got 2.5 minutes. I umped a girls' softball when I was 15. Adult coaches were, I umpired when I was like a freshman in high school. It was awful. I never liked that. You can't body check people in soccer. Refs would always yell at me. Well, you can do a fair shoulder charge. Say goodnight, Gracie. Good night, Gracie. Oh, we're getting down to the end of the program here. And, I'm so glad we had this time together just to share a laugh and sing a song or two. Seems like from the time we're started, before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Good night, everybody. All righty. I think that's going to do it for another exciting episode of The Tom Gully Show. You guys are the best. If you want, go to The Tom Gully Show. Visit the merch store. It's all down there in the crawl. If you could go to paypal.me/Tom Gully Show, you would be doing me the greatest of favors. And Patreon and all that good stuff. But with that being said, it's Replayables, 8 Eastern on the Shuli Network. Please be there. Please support those guys. And with all that being said, I guess the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.